Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to show you what a typical day in the life looks using the Moving Beyond the Page 5 to 7 age level curriculum. This typical day is going to show if you use the entire 5 to 7 level, which includes the combined subject language arts, science, and social studies, the math program, and the newest reading program edition. This typical day is going to be based on week 3, so that means you're a couple weeks into using this curriculum. We are introducing some different concepts. You will notice when we get into this that we're not on the same lesson number in the various subjects. So we may be on lesson 7 in our science, language arts, social studies, but only on lesson 5 in math, and that is completely fine. Remember, the way that this is set up in any subject that you use, you open up, start the lesson, and it will tell you when to stop. Some lessons are broken over multiple days, some you complete the entire lesson in one day. If you're someone like me and you would like a printed schedule to follow, we have various scheduling options available on our website for every age level, so there are many options to choose from. This example is following the standard 5-day homeschool week, and again we are looking at week 3 in this curriculum. This is what one of those schedules looks like printed out. So this is something I like to use because it just helps me keep on track. I can highlight once we complete something. If we don't get to all the subjects in the day, it's okay. I know where I need to pick back up. So we are starting week 3, day 1, and so we're going to look in and what that looks like. So with our combined subject, language arts, science, and social studies, we have been learning about habitats and homes, and we are on lesson 7. In today's lesson, we are talking about tools in our environment. This type of lesson is actually really hands-on for the child, which I really enjoy, my child really enjoys, and so this is a really good example that not every lesson is just sitting down, reading a book, or doing activities. This one has your child going all around the house and really having good conversations about what tools are in our environment. So to begin, I have my parent manual. We are still on concept 1. This is in the environment book, and we are on lesson 7. We are just starting lesson 7. It looks like this is just a one-day lesson, so we're going to complete the entire lesson 7 today. We always have our questions to explore, facts and definitions, our skills, and any materials. So the materials that we would need today is a grocery sack, a tape measure, which is in the kit, and a ruler, which is also in the kit. It has the introduction. So as the parent, I'm going to go through the introduction, and then we're going to move into our activities. The first activity is going to be a tool scavenger hunt. So first, before your child starts their scavenger hunt, you're going to ask them some different questions. The different questions are, what if we didn't have pens or pencils? What would our house be like if we didn't have any eating utensils? What would happen if we didn't have any tools? After you and your child discuss those questions, you're going to give your child a grocery sack. They're going to go around the house and they're going to find tools that make their lives easier. It literally tells you various examples of where your child can look, kind of how to guide them. So this curriculum really does handhold for you as the parent. Sometimes these type of activities you're like, but what are they supposed to do? It really walks you through like, hey, maybe they should go explore the garage. There might be some really good tools in there. It also gives you some recommendations if your child picks up something that's not necessarily a tool, kind of how to guide that conversation. The next activity is your child is going to sort those tools. There's various ways that you're going to have your child organize them or sort them, and again, there's some different conversational questions that you guys can go through. Then you're going to move on to actually measuring the tools. There's different ways that your child is going to measure these. They're also going to be using a page in their student activity book, which is measuring tools. So they're going to pick just a couple tools to measure. It does recommend having the tools under 9 inches, so the ruler on this makes sense, but this is beginning stages of measuring for them. So those first 3 activities got the day started awesome. Your child is up, moving about the house, finding some different things, and then we're tying it all together by sorting, organizing, and then measuring. Because this activity is asking your child to write a number of inches, you know, this is another time to reinforce and practice the number writing skills. So it does have a note that if your child is not comfortable in writing numbers, to just continue practicing those numbers. Last up is activity 4, where your child is going to complete a handwriting worksheet in their student workbook. They are practicing writing the letter I in both uppercase and lowercase. If your child is really great at writing, you can also have them start writing some words that have I in them. Once your child has completed all the activities, there is the conclusion wrap up where there's some just more discussion points for you guys to end this lesson. And that would be your language arts, science, and social studies lesson for the day. Now, because this one has some activities where your child can be running around the house, collecting tools, I would recommend maybe saying, you know, let's go look for tools for 5 minutes around the house. Then you're going to sort them and measure them. I would say that this first lesson, I would plan for about an hour of time. Depending on the conversations, your child, various activities, and how long your child is taking to complete those, I would plan for about an hour for this first combined subject to be completed. The good thing about today's lesson was your child was up and moving around. So besides the couple of activities where they were doing some handwriting practice, they are still probably in a good place to sit down and work on the next subject. We are going to move on to math. So in math, we are starting lesson 5. We are working through numbers 6 through 10, number bonds, and making 10. And this is day 1 of lesson 5. I do believe lesson 5 has multiple days, so we will not complete lesson 5 in today's lesson. So I have my math parents guide here, and I'm opening up to lesson 5. Lesson 5 is going to be broken up over 4 days because, again, this is at the beginning of a lesson. We have our getting started section with those questions, skills, and any materials that we need. For this lesson, we need a book, which I have right here. We're going to be reading 10 Little Hot Dogs, construction paper, crayons, dice, laminated number bond, scissors, abacus, counters, crayons, interactive notebook, number cards, stapler, and about half of those things are in your math kit. You're going to start the lesson by having your child repeat a rhyme that they had learned in a previous lesson. There's lots of rhymes and like chants throughout these math lessons, so you're going to have them go ahead and start that. That's also a good way to kind of get them back in remembering, especially if you're starting this on like a Monday after taking a few days off. Then we're going to go into reading a book and having some questions. So the book that we're reading today is 10 Little Hot Dogs, and there's just a few questions about them. This book is super cute. It counts down to 10 hot dogs. So we're going through all the little numbers of the book. Then your child's going to start working on activity 1, which is in their student workbook. This is the hot dog number line. I really like that the activity is matched up with the theme of the book. I think that that is super cute. They're going to write the numbers 1 through 10 on each box. Now again, this is where if your child is not comfortable with writing all their numbers, give them extra assistance and continue to work on that with practice. After that activity is complete, you're going to move on to activity 2, which is the last math activity for today. And you're going to play kind of a fun game and activity with your child, and that is going to be what comes before and what comes after. Give your child the number cards 1 through 9, have them shuffle and place them face down on the table. Flip over the top card and ask, well, what number comes after? If your child gives the correct answer, put the card to the side. If they answer incorrectly, put it back in the deck. Play this multiple times until your child has mastered the concept of what comes next, like what comes after this number. Now add the 10 card to the stack and remove the 1 card. Replay the game, but ask what number comes before. When your child is ready, remove both the 1 and 10 card, tell them to draw a card and ask what comes before and after. So you're using your number cards that came in your math supplies kit. A quick, easy game to make sure your child is understanding the number line, what numbers in the order up to 10. And that was the math lesson. In this lesson, we obviously were reading a book, so you want to plan for the time that it takes to read the book. Your child is going to be writing numbers 1 through 10 on a number line, so this giving them time to be able to write those numbers out, and then time to play the game. So again, I would give yourself about an hour for this math lesson. At this point, we've completed 4 of our subjects already because we did our combined language arts, science, and social studies. We just completed our math lesson, and now we're moving into our final lesson. Now, I'm just following the order of subjects based off the schedule, but really you can do these in any order. So if your child seems to like math better first, then do that one first. If reading works well at the end, then do reading at the end. So there's really no right or wrong order to do these subjects in. We are now moving on to our reading subject, and we are on lesson 3, day 1. We are learning letter sounds, review 3. So we are still reviewing our letter sounds. Again, we're just about 3 weeks into this curriculum. So I have my reading parent manual here, and I am opening up to lesson 3, letter sounds review. This lesson is broken up over 5 days. So again, getting started, we have our weekly focus, we have our weekly message, which I'll get into in just a moment. We have our materials list, everything that's included in the kit or anything that we may need to do. There is an activity this time, activity 2, which I don't know if it's in today's or tomorrow's lesson, but it does call for like shaving cream, flour, or rice. So that does sound like it's going to be like a very hands-on activity. In this week, we're going to be reviewing and using the sounds for consonants H, J, K, W, and V, and the vowels O and U, and working on sight words is, you, and it. We're going to begin by working only with letters introduced this week, and then we will add letters from previous lessons. On 1 or more days this week, encourage your child to reread the previous lesson's readers. So in our reading program, there are readers that come along with it, and you're going to be prompted at certain times where your child needs to start reading these. So in lesson 2, my child was reading The Pig Can. So we just want to make sure that they're reviewing this book. If they're comfortable, confident reading it, great. And if they need that extra practice, have them continue reading this on their own with some assistance. We always start our week with our weekly message. This is something we pop up on our board. Now, before I read it out loud, I have my child look over it and let me know if there's any words he can point out. They should, at this point, recognize some sight words from previous lessons, like and, a, the, so he should be able to identify those. I have this like little yellow, it almost looks like a translucent ruler that he can kind of roll over these words to help him find them. So that's a tip that I found helpful. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and read this to your child, and then you're going to be pointing to some certain words like jog and hot, and you're going to ask your child what vowel we think we're going to be practicing. So with jog and hot, if they know what vowels are, they should be able to pick out the letter O. You're also going to be asking them to break this apart. How do we identify how many sentences are here? We're looking at any periods or question marks. So again, tying in some language arts and grammar aspects as well. Moving on to our first activity, we are going to be using our letter cards that are in your reading kit. We are going to pull out those consonant letters and review those letter sounds. After you do some of that review, you're going to have your child think of some words that those letters start with. This lesson, we are focusing on letter sounds C and K, which sound similar. And so we're going to kind of talk about that, but we're not going to harp too much on it when your child is making up words. Next up, our final activity for today is we are doing our sight word practice. And so we have our sight word cards. We're going to quickly review the sight words that we had previously learned, and then we're going to add in some of the new sight card words. We're going to introduce them. We want them to try to sound them out and figure it out, and continue practicing your new sight word cards until your child understands them. And that was our lesson for reading for today. So again, depending on your child and the speed of how they're going through some of those activities, I would give about 30 minutes to an hour for the reading section. So in under 3 hours, you have completed your entire day of the 5 to 7 age level. And again, that time is going to vary greatly on you and your child and the different activities as they fluctuate. This was just one day in many Sometimes there's more hands-on activities, sometimes there's more of the worksheet activities, sometimes there's more reading, sometimes there's just different activities. So that is one thing that I will say I love about the Moving Beyond the Page curriculum. No one day ever looks the same with the variation of activities across all the subjects. We're reading books in our math units, we're practicing and measuring in our language arts unit. So all of these subjects really do cross over and give your child that best education. I hope you enjoyed this video example sharing what a typical day might look like for the 5 to 7 age level. If you have any questions, we have our customer service phone number and email, and you can reach out to us with any of those questions or feedback on the 5 to 7 program. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.